Hey, what's up YouTube? Just as the title says, I finally removed the fairings from a motorcycle, and the first little clip you're seeing right now are all the tools. I didn't really use all of these. For the most part, I think all of these are necessary towards removing fairings off your bike. I think it could be different for all these situations. As you notice the box cutter there, you're probably wondering why I have that. Turns out on my bike that it was zip tied, like one of the fairings around the seat was zip tied instead of screwed on, so I actually had to use the box knife to cut it off. But other than that, basically Allen keys, Phillips, flathead screwdrivers. For the most part, I feel like the 12mm wrench, or whatever you want to call it, is pretty universal for most motorcycles. I feel like that's really common, especially in the Japanese bikes. But yeah guys, for the most part, nothing too much crazy around here. You're just going to be seeing me remove all the nuts and bolts around my motorcycle. For the most part, I try to show you as best I can because I did do this at night in my garage, so this is probably the best lighting that I could accomplish through my garage light. So I know the lighting's not the best, so I try to use my iPhone for the most part to kind of balance that out. And right now I'm just showing all the damages that happened from a motorcycle crash. If you haven't seen that video yet, it wasn't that bad. It could definitely be a lot worse. I was bummed out. It was my first motorcycle crash, so it did suck, but it's good to be back riding again. I actually had to do some work on my bike right now before I can even go riding again. It's actually warmed up a lot, so pretty much after I'm done doing this commentary, I'm going to be going back to working on the bike today. That's pretty much all today is going to be about. I'm going to be doing some videos on that. I don't really like how I went about doing this video, recording the footage. At the same time, I had to be quiet for my neighbors because I actually have neighbors upstairs. Like, my garage is separate from my apartment. It's kind of weird how the complex goes about it, but that's how it is. So I had to do commentary over this video to be able to put some audio in there. But what I want to try to do, since it's pretty early out today, it's around 2 p.m. so I want to be able to actually talk to the camera and kind of explain what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going about it. But for the most part, just as I said in this video, you're going to be seeing me remove the nuts and bolts. I try to show you, give you examples of what happened or what I encountered while removing my motorcycle bearings. Sorry about that. But yeah, it was not that difficult a process, especially considering that I had no experience doing this, and also I didn't really look at any tutorials or any manuals or anything like that. I kind of just went for it. It's usually what I end up doing. The only time I don't do that is when it's something like removing coolant, oil, or something pretty mechanical. I honestly feel like removing fairings is a pretty easy process. It just takes time to figure out how to go about it, because I had to sit there for a bit and be like, why isn't this fairing coming off? I had to look around and kind of figure out where the fairing was connected, where it was bolted down or whatever, or what was stopping it. So as you can see, I try to use the iPhone right there to try to show you guys some of the damages and what the actual piece of the fairing looked like. I tried to do my best job that I could to show you, and as we go along, I do show how the bike ends up when those pieces are removed as well. It was actually the first time I got to see the bike completely taken apart. I won't lie, out of all the bikes, the CBR was the hardest to remove the fairings for. It wasn't that hard, it was just slightly more complicated. I feel like there's a lot more slots or hinges or whatever you want to call it. The pieces lock in a lot more tighter on this bike than they do on my Gixxer, definitely by far. I think the only thing I have to do for my Gixxer that's going to be pretty difficult is removing the back fairing around where the seat cowl or the rear seat would be, because the guy who stole it changed it out, and I don't have the key for that necessary to remove it, so that there's no way that piece is coming off unless I learn to pretty much what's it called, pick locks. There you go. Yeah, lock picking. Unless I learn that, I don't think there's gonna be any way, unless I can saw it off or do something pretty extreme. And if I do get the Gixxer running, I don't plan on keeping those fairings. I'm gonna change them out. I'm gonna change the way the Gixxer looks so that way it can be reborn again. An update on it, pretty much the same thing as usual. It's not running right now. Now that I have the Gixxer taken apart though, I am gonna be switching out the battery. If it's the same voltage, it should be for the most part, but I'm gonna check it out, verify it for the most part before I do anything like that. It's things like that I verified before doing. Now, room fairings, that's something electrical, nothing mechanical. It's just cosmetic. Cosmetic stuff I usually do unless like I do feel it's going to be pretty complicated or I should have a better idea about going about doing that. But for fairings, it's a pretty easy process. I honestly feel like you just grab Allen keys, flatheads, Phillips. Depending on the used bike, it's going to be different for every situation. What you might encounter, some weird stuff as you're doing it on your used bike that may have not known about until after buying it. Yeah, I can't wait to get this bike fixed so that way I can finally take it to the track. Either that or the Gixxer. I want the Gixxer to become a track bike if I get that thing running. If not, I'm going to take it to a shop. I'm going to get it running one way or another. If I take it to the shop, if need be, definitely want to do that. I definitely plan on getting a dirt bike as well. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of plans. So, just got to be patient, save up that money, be a little bit more financially stable, and just chill out. That's all we got to do. So yeah, I've removed the other fairing on the other side. A lot of the stuff is kind of symmetrical throughout the bike. What you do to one side, you do to the other. I kind of did like the way the bike ended up looking, kind of. I kind of liked the way it looked without all the fairings. Another thing I was not aware about the Gixxer was I guess you could say the gas tank fairing. I did not know it was covered for the most part because on my Gixxer it's not. You just took that completely apart. So there's subtle differences between bikes. Obviously, especially with the headlights, I'm not the biggest fan of the headlight. For the Gixxer, I'm not the biggest fan of the single headlight. I like the two headlights. I'm really big fan of the R6 headlights. Won't lie about that, how it looks like a wasp or a bee. Kind of dig that. I definitely want to get an R6 one day or an R1. Basically any of them. I'd be cool with an R3 even. Yeah, definitely think the iPhone did help a lot with the lighting. Help show it off. I wish I could have used it in a lot more situations. I just didn't have a stand for it or anything like that to where I could position it to where I would like. I'm trying to do the best I can to commentate throughout this video. You just saw me remove the window, I guess you would call that. I don't know, windshield. There you go. Can't even think of words. I'm trying to sound like I ride bikes, but not really. Yeah, that wasn't that bad. Then you see the two little bolts in front of the gas tank cover, which weren't that hard to remove either. A lot of this stuff is just looking for it, to be honest. And then the hardest part was removing like the little side panels in the front or the head fairing, because they were caught by little hinges or whatever. So I had to move them around, but I did not know that. Had I looked at a video, yeah, you would have seen it. I try my best to give a better visualization of that and to help teach you guys. Right now I'm just removing the rear view mirrors, and that's pretty easy. Just remove the bolts on both sides, and I always try to keep my bolts that are removed in one pile. I mean, you can organize them a little bit better, but that's another reason why I recorded this video, so that way I have something to go off of when I go to putting back the bike together. And see there's the zip tie that was connecting the plastic where my seat was, and you see me pull out the box cutter, and you see how long it takes. It takes forever to get that thing off. Not really, but it didn't take like a second, which is basically forever in my mind. It took probably 3 minutes, 5 minutes of cutting. So yeah, you never know what you're gonna encounter, especially with a used bike for the most part, and you never know if people use different fairings, different kinds of bolts or whatever it is for your bike, or whether they just glued it together. Like, you can encounter various different things. This is just how I personally went about removing all my fairings on my CBR 600. In all honesty, it was not that bad of a process. Oh, there you go. You get to see my Gixxer without the gas tank. And yeah, I gotta make sure to cover up or censor out that license plate so you guys don't know who I is. But yeah, right there you see me removing the rear brake light to tail light. I don't know. I always come up with random words for things, and either I end up getting it right or saying something completely wrong. One of the two things happen. And right now I'm removing the bolts for the seat, trying to figure that out. Yeah, pretty much that came off pretty easy. All you gotta do is remove the bolts in the back and it's pretty much done for the most part. Then I go showing off how it is when it's removed, and then I got those two bolts right there that I have to remove. I guess for more complicated bolts, what you can do is what I did right there. The way I position it is I put the smaller end on the actual bolt, so that way the longer end is what I turn, so that way I have more torque. Because torque is, what is it called? It's a force on an axis. So the longer the axis is, the higher torque you have. That's just a little bit of science for you guys from my physics days. Yeah, it's really hard to come up with things to talk about. Like, in all honesty, I just kind of grabbed my all my tools that I had and just went at it. And hopefully this, guys, gives you the best visualization towards removing your motorcycle fairings. Also, sorry for sagging. I don't know why that was happening. Don't worry, that's not my underwear. Those are my shorts. That's probably why, because like it just my shorts are like smooth or whatever we want to call it. So that way my pants just slid right down. There's no traction. Yeah, I honestly don't know why I removed those. I'm trying to think of why I removed those. I don't think I needed to be honest. The rear pegs, I don't think there was a real reason. I think I just wanted to remove more stuff and just keep going further and further and act like I was cool and act like I knew what I was doing when I really don't. I try to point to everything so that way that helps you guys out the most. So yeah, putting that there was not the best idea if that would have fell. Sorry about yawning, by the way. Oh, by the way, that is also 12 millimeters, as I stated before. I feel like that's throughout a lot of motorcycles. I feel like that's throughout a lot of parts on my Gixxer. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I can't wait to change out the oil filter, change out the coolant, and go about removing that. And honestly, that was probably the hardest piece to remove, the back fairing. That sucks so much, just because I felt like a lot of it was connecting it together and just figuring out how to go about it. But eventually I got it off, and we were Gucci at that point. And then all we had left was the gas tank and the front or head fairing, whatever you wish to call it. It's actually pretty cool looking at all this. I actually enjoyed looking at all the different pieces, and there you go. That's where the hinges, or even called the tabs, for the front fairings were, and those were connecting down the gas tank cover, and as well as the front piece as well. And then you got an extra bolt down there underneath the tabs as well. Pretty much once you get that out, gas tank cover pretty much comes off. It's actually pretty easy. Just a matter of just working the tabs and getting that little piece out, which was the part that sucked, the left one from the driver's point of view. It was probably the worst to do, but it wasn't that bad, to be honest. You saw me review in like a couple of seconds, so that's pretty much all it took. And I tried my best to show you where the tabs are and how they connect right there. And then I show you the little bolt that was right there where the tabs were previously, and pretty much once you get that out, you pretty much have the gas tank off, and after that all that was left was the head plastic or fairing. Like, I've heard it called plastics or fairings, so you can go one way or another. And as I said, what you do to one side, you do the other for the most part. Pretty much all these bikes were symmetrical. The only thing that was different on the other side is when I went about removing the front fairing, I had to disconnect the cables, which are all on the driver's left side. But as I said, that's probably the surprising part. It was actually pretty cool to see the gas tank cover off and actually see that there's like the actual gas tank underneath, I guess you could say. And now time for the head fairing, and I tried to show you right there the bolts that I was going to be removing. And there's another set, and it just sucks, like the positioning of it. You saw that came off super easy, and then pretty much do the same to the other. But let's see if I actually Zoom in on there. Okay, yeah, you see that? It's right there, but as you're taking it out, it's gonna move forward and it's gonna hit that metal piece right there. That's actually a hard surface, I guess you could say, not like something that can be moved out of the way. It's actually part of the frame, I guess you could say. Actually, no, it's not part of the frame because actually I have that piece. I have the entire head fairing right here in my room, and I'm looking at it right now. So that is not true, but it was hard to get out. And as I said, once you remove those, it's gonna be 4 fairings, or sorry about that, 4 screws, and you basically disconnect all the cables on the driver's left side. And as you see me do right now, I'm gonna be removing the, I don't know what you'd call that, because that's towards the speedometer, tachometer. So I guess you call it the main power cord. I don't know. To be honest, it's the one that does connect the dash, if you will, to the head fairing. And basically after that, you're pretty much done. There isn't really much anything else left for that, and that is what the bike looks like for the most part without all the fairings. I just got that one piece above the front wheel to remove, and that was pretty much it. It's pretty nice. I honestly had fun doing this. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for you guys. Commentary wise, thank you for watching.
Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for watching this video. It means a lot to me. Your support definitely means a lot to me. And this video was long overdue. I needed to do work on the bike so bad. I just been putting it off. I've been lazy. I'm putting off videos off too. A lot of things have been coming up, but it shouldn't be any excuses. I should learn to work around it. And if I really want it, I'm gonna, put the time in that I need to. But yeah, guys, lots of videos coming up. If there's anything motorcycle-wise, like motorcycle work-wise, like maintenance, or just fixing stuff up, just let me know. Feel free to comment down below, send me a message if you have any questions and curious. I'm by no means any expert on motorcycles, so I'm gonna do the best that I can to learn for myself, because I definitely would have the same questions as anyone else out there. I would definitely love to learn about motorcycles and mechanics in general, especially since I'm planning on getting a car soon, like a manual car, so that way I can learn to do work on it, like a cheap car, and just get on the track. So one video coming up, we're going to be switching out this, so I'll probably do a video on how to do that. Doesn't look too complicated, so it might be a short video. We're also going to do videos on oil changes, basically all fluid changes, brake changes. Like, I'm going to do a lot of work to that bike before it starts getting warm again, to make sure the bike is as optimal as it can be. But yeah, guys, there it is. I mean, so you can see some of the damage right here, and right there. It sucks, my crash. If you haven't seen that crash, it's in, I don't even remember. It was about 3-4 months ago. Go back down to my videos and check it out. It sucked. It was a dumb mistake, but it is what it is. I got the new fairings over there. We're gonna switch them out. But yeah, guys, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions about what I just did in this video, taking apart the fairings, feel free to ask. Thank you.